So you've decided that you're interested in moving to the Tyler, Texas area, but you don't necessarily want to be in the middle of Tyler. And you're kind of looking at Lindale, Texas, and you're looking at Bullard, Texas, but just don't really know what the difference is. Well, today I'm going to talk a little bit about Lindale and a little bit about Bullard and talk about the pros and cons of each and similarities and differences. So by the end of the video, you will have a much better idea whether you should be focusing in on Lindale or focusing in on Bullard, Texas. Howdy everyone, and welcome back to the channel. For everyone new here, my name is Ronnie Withers, and if you want to know what it's like to live, eat, sleep, work and play in Tyler, Texas and the surrounding areas, just like Lindale or Bullard, then go ahead and smash that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you'll be first to be notified on any single Tyler, Texas market update. My team and I are getting calls every single day of people just like you who are looking to either relocate to Tyler, move within Tyler, or sell their Tyler home. So if that does sound like you, please go ahead and reach out. Give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. We'll get together, we'll hop on a phone call, and we will get you into your dream Tyler home. So the big debate, Lindale, Texas versus Bullard, Texas. This conversation comes up actually quite a lot. The first thing people do when they come into town, they book a visit, just have a look around Tyler to see whether it is the place for them. We meet, go out for coffee, go for lunch or something. One of the first things I tell people is that when you finally come to search for a home, I recommend that you either focus in on Lindale or you focus in on Bullard and kind of the South Tyler area. Now, there's many different reasons for that, but overall, it's just easier to focus in your search in either Lindale or the Bullard area. So a couple of the facts about Lindale and Bullard. Lindale is about 20 minutes north of Tyler and Bullard is about 20 minutes south of Tyler. Lindale is about double the size of Bullard and has a population of around 6,500 people. Bullard has around 3,500 people. Now, the reason that I tell people that you should really decide whether you want to focus in on Lindale or whether you want to focus in on Bullard is due to the distance. When you get into town, you start looking around, we start driving, we start looking at houses. It's already going to be very overwhelming. So the last thing we want is to be hopping from Lindale to Bullard, Lindale, Bullard, because it's around a 45-minute to an hour drive between the two. So you just don't want to be spending the short amount of time you have in town driving hours between Lindale and Bullard. There are many similarities and differences between Lindale and Bullard, and whichever one you pick, you're not going to go wrong. Like in the video that I made right here, Lindale and Bullard are my top two suburbs of Tyler. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is price of a home. The average price of a home that sold in Lindale within the last year is $356,982, comparing that the average price of a home sold in Bullard, Texas within the last year, which is $451,156. So looking at that information, Lindale is a little bit less expensive on average to buy a house. There's many different reasons for that, whether it be just the size, the growth rate in Lindale is maybe a little bit less than in Bullard. So houses, you can get them and get a little bit more acreage for a little bit less expensive than Bullard. Both Lindale and Bullard are growing at good rates, but Bullard takes the cake with the fastest growing suburb in the Tyler area, in my opinion. One thing that I will say, and I know it's very important to a lot of you out there. So the school systems, the ISDs in both Lindale and Bullard, Texas, they are both top-notch, some of the best school systems in Texas in general. So whether you decide to live in Lindale or whether you decide to live in Bullard, you are rest assured you are going to be in one of the best ISD school districts in East Texas and Texas in general. So let's go back to location. The location of Lindale versus the location of Bullard. Lindale, about 20 minutes north of Tyler, of downtown Tyler. Lindale is right next to the I-20, which is the main road that gets you into Dallas. So that follows that Lindale is actually, if you want to go to Dallas fairly often, then Lindale may be a better place for you because you just hop straight on the I-20 and you're about an hour and a half into Dallas. Compared that to Bullard, which is 20 minutes south of Tyler, so it's going to add around another 30 minutes to your trip if you are going to Dallas. So in Bullard, you're around 2 hours to Dallas. Lindale being up north, you're closer to Tyler State Park and you're also closer to the Tyler Zoo as well than you are in Bullard. Now, saying that, it's no secret that the majority of the growth happening in Tyler is happening in the south area of Tyler. So to get to Lindale, to the South Tyler area where all the growth's happening, you're going to be around 30 to 40 minutes away from those areas. Compare that to Bullard, where from Bullard to South Tyler, you're only looking at around 10 to 15 minutes. So if you are the type of person that you think you're going to want to be, you're going to have friends in the growing South Tyler area, or you're going to want to go shopping in those areas, then Lindale, 30 to 40 minutes, may be a bit too long for you. Now, saying that, a caveat to that, the difference between Lindale and Bullard is Lindale is very self-sustaining. It's a good enough size that Lindale has quite a few shops, it has several gyms, it has doctors, it has churches, it has a lot of the things you'll need in a town. Now, Bullard does have some of those things, but Bullard is a lot smaller. I live in Bullard and I go to the gym in Bullard, and there's one Brookshire's store here, but for the majority of big shopping things to do, I'm gonna have to go into South Tyler to do that. So that's the difference. If you go in Lindale, yes, you're further away from the action of South Tyler, but you don't necessarily need to leave Lindale very often. Compare that to Bullard, you're a lot closer to South Tyler, but there's a little bit less to do in Bullard. So land in Lindale versus land in Bullard, both areas have room to grow. Bullard, there's room to grow south towards Jacksonville, and Lindale, there's room to grow north towards Mineola. So there's a lot of gorgeous farmland, ranch land in Bullard and in Lindale. In general, the farmland in Bullard is a little bit more expensive than it is in Lindale. So if you're looking for a house with 10, 20, 30 acres, it's going to be a little bit less expensive in Lindale than it is Bullard. Now, one of the reasons due to this is, we'll talk briefly about tornadoes. Lindale itself, I don't consider it to be in Tornado Alley, and most people in East Texas don't. However, Tornado Alley, when you start getting to Mineola and north of Mineola, that is when you're going to have a little bit of a higher risk for tornadoes, and Lindale is closer to that than Bullard is. Bullard, I'm not going to say you're never going to get a tornado, but Bullard, there's a lot less risk than Lindale. Usually about an hour north of Lindale is when you really start to worry a little bit. But Lindale is a little bit more of a risk than Bullard is when it comes to tornadoes. The last thing to know is about property taxes. It's no secret that Bullard has some of the highest property taxes in the East Texas area. So if you're looking at buying a house in Bullard, although it is a really new and upcoming area and growing really rapidly, you're going to be paying a little bit more in property taxes than you are in Lindale. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. However, for all the things I've just said, whether you choose to move to Lindale or whether you choose to move to Bullard, then you can't really go wrong. Both of them are really, really nice, amazing places to move to live, to raise a family, to live a really nice, quiet life out here in East Texas. So you wouldn't go wrong going with either of them. But going back to the start of the video, my recommendation is when you come to town on your very first visit, have a little drive around Lindale, have a little drive around Bullard and the South Tyler area, and just see which one feels right to you. And then when you come back for a second time and you want to start looking at houses, then really focus in on either of the two areas, just so you don't get overwhelmed when you're looking at Lindale and Bullard. But that is it. That is the similarities and the differences between Bullard, Texas and Lindale, Texas. What do you prefer? People who live in East Texas, do you prefer, and would you prefer to live in Bullard, Texas, or would you prefer to live in Lindale, Texas? Please let me know in the comment box below. Me, personally, I live in Bullard. I'm a little bit biased. I absolutely love Bullard, and I think it's an amazing place to live and buy a house and settle down. However, I've also spoken to a lot of different people who really, really love Lindale and love that rural life in Lindale. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you very, very much for making it to the end of the video. Please leave a like if you did like the video, and until next time, cheerio.